We have heard clear statements here in Vilnius that countries of our region are ready to increase defense spendings. 2% is not enough. We need to be ready for more.
What I proposed, and we are still having that debate now within NATO, is to have a hard target. So the old 2% will be a new target, considerably north of 3%. And then we need to agree on a target for defense-related spending. For example, investing in your defense industrial base, investing in your infrastructure, which also has to be able to move military groups around. When it comes to preparing your society, a whole of society approach when it comes to defense. And of course this is difficult because more money spent on defense cannot be spent on something else. But in the end, if the Russians win, you still have all your wealth, but then you need to speak Russian. Nobody wants that. Ukraine, and we still are in the middle of this full onslaught of Russia against Ukraine, unprovoked. What we are doing is agreeing on all the gaps we have in our capabilities. So NATO as a whole needs to be able to do X, Y, and Z to be able to protect ourselves against a potential Russian attack. Of course, we also have to take into account the Chinese military buildup. With this type of defense spending, but then of course the rest of NATO also has to ramp up defense spending. Probably not to these levels when it comes to the hard defense spending, but still considerably more than the classical 2% we agreed in 2014. It has to be much more. If we do that, we can defend ourselves.
Yes, before the Vilnius summit started, you called Russia a long-term threat to NATO. Does that mean that Russia is still preparing to attack NATO?
Well, clearly in Washington, NATO agreed that there is this irreversible path to NATO membership for Ukraine. And we are currently building that bridge through the joint activities we have in Poland, where we capture all the lessons from the war. The command in Wiesbaden, which is there to make sure that Ukraine gets all the military support it needs, packaged in a way that they can make maximum use of it, including helping Ukraine to train its armed forces. What we are doing with the ongoing commitments to spend money on the military support for Ukraine. All of this, of course, is building that bridge step by step. They invaded a sovereign nation, so totally unacceptable. But we have to make sure whatever is in the heads and minds and thoughts and discussions. And I'm very glad that the US President, Donald Trump, broke the deadlock with Russia, started to have direct talks with Vladimir Putin. I think that was important. It's important that the Americans are closely, as they are doing, coordinating with the Europeans, with Ukraine. This will be a step-by-step approach, but it is not up to Russia to decide Ukraine's future or its geostrategic position. And they don't have a vote or a veto on Ukraine's NATO membership, EU membership. It's first of all Ukraine deciding they want it, and then it is NATO and the EU taking the necessary steps to see how we can get them there. Okay. NATO agreed that there is this irreversible path to NATO membership for Ukraine. And we have to make sure that for Russia it's clear that there is no way winning this, that we are totally united. All NATO countries, but also other countries like New Zealand and Australia and Japan were also actively helping us to help Ukraine to fight off this Russian onslaught. So they have to know we are united. We will make sure that Ukraine has what it needs going forward to stay in the fight, and that we are totally committed to a lasting and durable, be it a long-term ceasefire or even better, a full peace. That's what we are working towards.
Yes, will Ukraine receive any promises of NATO membership in the Hague summit?
It was very impressive what the Ukrainians did yesterday. Let's not forget that these capabilities, these Russian capabilities they attacked, were part of the reason why Ukraine is under fire from the Russians. So they took out some of those capabilities to attack Ukraine, and this has led to attacks on Ukrainian cities, innocent civilians. So I think it is really considerable what the Ukrainians did.